Competition tips for someone who is 2-stripe white belt, trains 5 times a week, 8 months in, and has a competition coming up in July. Number one, I have never been too calm for a tournament, but I have been too excited and burned up more energy than I would have liked. So before you compete, meaning in the 30 minutes about before you step on the mat, mentally you want to try to not get too worked up. You want to try to not be exhausted beforehand because you were having anxieties. You want to try to calm down. You want to try to make it be not a big deal, another day on the mats. You can never be too calm. When you step out on the mat, you're going to have a tendency to exert more energy, to try really hard to do your things, but I would say try to be calmer than you think you need, because you'll end up doing your techniques a little bit better. You'll be able to think more. You'll have way more energy for the end of the match. If you want to try to do something hard, give yourself at least 3.5 minutes of grappling time where you're calm, and you'll usually find that you probably are going to be exhausted at that point, thanking yourself for not starting the match off super hard. Now, this goes into tip number 2. Start the match off with intent. You can be focused, you can be going forward. Start your matches off to try to work into your game plan. If you were going to get a takedown, work immediately to set up your takedown. Usually I would advise having a plan A and B. We'll go into that on tip number 3. But if you're going to pull guard, make sure you immediately go to set that guard pull up. If you're going to pull guard, you might want to make them think that you're doing takedowns first before you set it up. And if you're going to pull guard, please don't pull guard just into pull guard and be okay with that. Pull guard immediately into a sweep or a submission setup. Or if you're going to do a takedown, don't just do a takedown and be okay with that. Immediately takedown into guard pass or mount or a submission setup. So don't just do your initial opening with no intent. Don't go out there and say, I'm just going to see what happens. Go out there, know what you want to get ahead of time. It doesn't have to be a bunch of things. In fact, I'd say keeping it narrow, which again we'll talk about in tip number 3. But go for something, ideally 2 things, with intent. And after your first takedown, guard pull, or if you got taken down, you got to work from a bad spot there. But no matter what happens, as soon as you hit the ground, you're working to better your position to eventually get a submission. This goes into tip number 3. And this is how to have an extremely effective and broad and complicated seeming game plan, where in reality it can be super simple for you up here. So from every major position, there's probably about 5. Pick 2 moves minimum. Maybe you can have 3, but 2 moves is good enough. So if you're going to do a takedown, I want you to have 2 takedowns. I like to do something that combos into one another, an A and a B option. So for example, if you're going to snap someone down in the front headlock, you're kind of pulling them forward. So naturally they posture back up, and so then you can do the outside trip where you take them backwards. And if you keep pulling them backwards, they're going to hunch over forward for the front headlock. So you can go A B A B A B A B A B A B A B C. That's why the third is nice, because you can throw in some other form of takedown, and that can seem really overwhelming for people. So then when you go to the ground, all the major positions, all you need is 2 solid or even okay moves from each position. If you're going to be from bottom, close guard, 1 sweep, 1 submission. Maybe 2 sweeps would be kind of nice, but you can just combo submission, sweep, or 2 different sweeps, sweep, 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 but it's a different kind of sweep. So 2 different moves. Same for escaping close guard. 2 different kind of guard breaks into a pass. If you're from mount, 1 maybe transition to a better position to take the back, or 1 submission, maybe armbar cross collar choke. Side control, same thing. 1 position, 1 transition to a better position, maybe 1 submission attempt. Maybe it's a key lock series. That's pretty simple for a white belt. Back control, honestly, once you get the back, you're probably not going to need to transition, so maybe you have 2 different submissions. But really, if you have 2 different moves from every single position, you can have a really complicated seeming game, but in your mind, it's not that crazy complicated. So if you can keep those 3 things in mind, if you can stay calm beforehand, if you can start the match off with intent, and if you can have a solid understanding of what to do from each position that covers the basics, these are the more advanced tips. In order to stay calm, it helps to know that you've trained as much as you reasonably can. Understand that this is sort of just like another day on the mat. You're going to tap if you're in danger, so you're not in any real risk of major injuries, so it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. And then you can also get a sweat going. That's something that I would recommend doing, because you're going to feel way more tired than you normally are because your adrenaline's up. But understand how much output you're actually able to do. So if you can do a certain number of rolls, you know how long you can roll for. Then figure out a consistent warm-up that you can do before every single competition. So if that's jumping jacks, or you do some Granby rolls, or some push-ups, or some sit-ups, or burpees. I like really slow burpees. That's an awesome warm-up. It gets your whole body moving. You can start a sweat. And if you rep out like 15 slow burpees, so you touch your chest, I'll rep out some burpees. So you just touch your chest to the floor, you stand up and jump, and you do that 15 times. I'd say that's a pretty good warm-up, and you'll probably have a sweat broken at that point. Then you know that you're already warmed up, you're already good to go. You sort of have those jitters out of the way. If you have someone who's there, like a teammate who you could roll with, you can get that first roll out of the way. It's another advanced tip. But generally, try to have fun, and if you go with intent, you have a game plan, and the game plan's not that complicated, stick to it and keep working. So a lot of times, white belt matches end up in someone gets a good position, and then the person on bottom just kind of mentally quits and breaks. But if from your perspective you don't quit, you just escape one, escape two, escape one, escape two, escape one, escape two, escape one, escape two, escape. Even me just saying it is mentally exhausting. Now, physically, like bridging and shrimping and framing is like exhausting for you, but it's also exhausting for them. And if you never like mentally quit and you're calm enough, you can maintain that pace and actually probably get back to a good spot. So don't think that your matches are very, very short. Think that they're planned for like success in like halfway through your match. Don't blow everything you've got in the first like 30 seconds. Try to stay calm, right? Try to get to a better position. If you find yourself in a war, just know that like you've always got a little bit more in the tank because you didn't go crazy. You're still a little bit calm. If you find yourself in a bad position, don't mentally quit and give up. Just go A, B, A, B, A, B, C for your escapes. Just keep going at them relentlessly until time's up, because you never know. You might be able to get back to a good position and end up getting a submission, or winning on points. Ideally, you want to win by submission, but don't quit until it's over, until they tap, until you tap, or the ref breaks you apart. Don't worry about looking at the clock. Hopefully, if you have a coach, they'll tell you if you have X amount of minutes left or you need to score or something like that. Don't focus on that. Focus on your match. Focus on getting to a good position and getting a submission. If you want to see more content just like it, click here.